To view the version history of a document, there are two ways you can get there. Notice at the top here, this says this was last edited 12 minutes ago. If I hover on this, I can click Open Version History here, or I can go to File, Version History, See Version History. This will bring up all the edits over here on the right-hand side. There are several reasons you might want to look at version history. Perhaps you're collaborating with somebody else and you just want to see what each person has contributed. Maybe you've written an essay and you want to see the writing process progress through the document. Maybe you want to go back and see what you did on a document a month ago because you preferred what it looked like back then. So let's go through and look at these. So right now it looks like just 3 edits. However, notice this little arrow next to a few of those. If we click on this drop down arrow, it expands and shows us all the additional edits that we have made. So let's start down here at the first edit where the document was created. You'll notice that it's blank on the left hand side. As I use the up arrow to click through these edits, notice it's showing me what has been added to the document as we go through. So we can see here it's showing in the green that I added those dates of 24th to the 28th. Notice also that you'll see my name is over here on all these edits, but this is where you would notice as you go through, if you were collaborating with another person, you would be able to see what they have contributed within here. So there's another option that you have here. As we're going through, you'll notice each one of these has 3 little dots next to it. If you click on these 3 dots, you can restore this version, which means maybe I want to go back to before I added any of the images and start fresh again. So rather than going through and deleting all that stuff, I can just come back and give myself a clean slate again. I can name this version, or I can make a copy. Sometimes I'll find myself making a copy, maybe if I have a spreadsheet full of a lot of data and I'm like, oh, I want to use this again as a template. I can go back to before I started adding all of my data, make a copy of that blank spreadsheet, and now I've got a nice clean slate to start with. Naming the versions, that might be another option too. Perhaps you come here and you're like, okay, back here before I added the images, let me find where that was at. I loved this right here. This is what I want each week to start with. So I could come in here and click those 3 dots and name this version and just call this weekly template. Then if I wanted to, this is where I could come and just create a copy of this to start with each week. Perhaps also as you go through, you're like, okay, I really don't like how my template's looking. I want to start a whole new fresh edit with this. So maybe I'm like, okay, this is how I want it to be each week. So now I can come in here, I can name this version and I can call it weekly template 2. So now when I come up here to the top, you'll see that I see all versions or named versions. If I click and select named versions, it's only going to show me these 2 options. So there's my weekly template, and there's when I updated it again. So this is a great tip to use too. Maybe you have a document that you update every month, or it's yearly, you update like a parent letter. So maybe you want to call this your 21-22 template letter. Then when you changed it this year, you renamed it to the 22-23. So that's another great option. So you can come back and quickly just see the named versions to see the difference between those 2 templates. When you are ready to go back to your document, you can just click up here in the upper left-hand corner on that back arrow, and that'll bring you back to your current document.